Hey, my name is Robert Lewis, and welcome to my channel. As you know, I'm a software developer, and on this channel, we talk about different things that are pertinent to developers, programmers, software engineers, and today we're going to talk about how to solve problems. One of the key things that you have to understand is very, very important that any software developer knows is that you are not actually hired to write code. You are hired to solve problems, and that is the main job, the main necessity of software developers in industry, or if you're working for a client, working as a freelancer, you are being hired to solve a problem. So right now what I want to do is I want to talk about how you can actually go about solving problems. Well, these are the steps I would take, and I want to just share with you about how to solve problems. The very first thing you have to do is, when you're presented with a problem, is you have to fully understand what it is that you need to resolve. And that the first way that you can do that is the main thing is, usually if you're working in something that's already out in production, is you want to make sure that you have a good understanding of what the user is experiencing or why they reported the issue. And so what I like to do is I like to go to the person that's actually experiencing the issue or actually reported the issue, and I like to them to give me the steps on how to reproduce the issue. And that way I have a clear understanding of what the user is experiencing. And not only that, but you also have a clear understanding of what is the intended result or expectation, or what it is that they want to see the application or functionality of the software to actually do. So once you gain that knowledge, then what I like to do is I like to personally bring the software, the code source down to my computer and try to reproduce it myself to make sure that I too can experience the same issue within the QA or dev environment. And then from there, sometimes you may readily have an idea what's going on, but sometimes you're gonna have to step through the code. And even after you step through the code, sometimes you still may have some questions. That's where reaching out to other developers or reaching out to the person that actually initially worked on the piece of code, you can reach out to them and ask them, okay, what's going on here? What were you thinking here? Hopefully the code has some detailed notes. Sometimes it does not have good comments, but you can always reach out to a developer or someone who's more senior on your staff, on your team, to assist them, to ask them for assistance on how to actually resolve the issue. But once you have a clear understanding of what's going on, now we clearly come to the point that's really, really crucial on how to solve this problem. Is what I like to do is, if at all possible, what I like to do, I like to take that big major problem that I'm trying to solve and try to break it up into small itty bitty pieces and to tackle it from that perspective. Once I break it down into small pieces, I begin to do my tests. Then I can bring all the pieces back together after I've addressed each little small thing that I'm looking at, all the different aspects of the problem. I put them back together, and then I begin to do a big major test to see what I can do as far as providing a solution to the problem. And one thing I want to encourage you and let you know, look, you're not going to know everything. This is very common, especially with junior developers. They get very, very intimidated. They get nervous. I have a problem. I've never done this before. I don't know what to do. How do I know this? Because I've been there before. I used to be that way. But what I've learned to embrace when it comes to solving problems from a software perspective is knowing this. Look, this is an opportunity to learn something new, to experience something new. And oftentimes you can learn something that can stay with you for the rest of your career as you begin to solve these problems. And so one of the things I want to encourage you is to do not allow yourself to outthink yourself as far as solving the problem. You have to believe in yourself, believe that you have the ability, the skills, the knowledge, you have the wherewithal to be able to solve the problem. And the next thing I want to encourage you to do is, after you have solved the problem, after you have figured out the key issues or the things that wasn't done, or the reason why the issue was there in the first place with the application that you're working with, why the user was experiencing the problem, is to document. Documentation is so important. Think about this. Think about if the problem that you're working on, if it had had more documentation, maybe you could have solved the issue or the problem that you were working on. We could have solved it quicker. Making sure that you document what you found out, what you learned, is key for so many different reasons. First and foremost, you may have to go back to this same piece of software and make updates in the future. And that same knowledge that you gain when you were solving that one problem, it can be very beneficial when you begin to address a new issue that comes up that a user reports, or they want to add new functionality. You can go back to refer to your notes and see what you learned before, and take that into consideration as you begin to work on this new problem. The next issue, the reason why I should say that you want to make sure that you comment, put comments in your code and provide documentation for what you actually did, is because there may be another developer that comes behind you, that you may be out one day, you may be on vacation, you may go on to another company and another developer comes along. You want to make sure that you help them to be successful as much as you can by providing the necessary comments and the documentation needed to be able to help them to be successful. And so one of the ways I document different things, now this is very, very important that you must understand this. You need to make sure that you have a clear understanding of your company that you work for, the industry. I've had many contracts that I work on from a government perspective where I wasn't able to use cloud-based systems to be able to take notes. One piece of software or application I like to use is called Evernote. Evernote is great. Or using the Note app on your iPhone or our iPad, be able to take notes in there to be able to document things that I've learned, document or take notes with people I've talked to, key people who were able to give me key information to help me solve the problems. In my side projects, things that I work on for myself or for my clients, I love to use Evernote or the Notes app within iCloud to be able to document things that I've done. A lot of times if you're working in like government, like for some of the government contracts that I worked on, you're not able to log into web-based systems and keep notes. So for that, what I encourage you to do to make sure that you're still able to document your findings is to take advantage of some of the apps that you have on your local machine. Notepad, I love Notepad++ myself. Most companies allow you to download that application and use it on your local machine. I keep a journal. Every year, at the start of the year, if I'm working for a company or if I'm working with my clients, I have a separate journal that I start. Like this year's 2020, so I have 2020 journal. I have it. It's in a shared folder on my local computer, and I have one on when I do my side project. I just a journal that I says 2020 journal, 2020 client journal information, and I put detailed notes. I put the date, the time, the application I was working with at the time. I put in the problem. I have a section where I notate what the problem is, describe what the user told me, any notes and things that I received as I was researching, and then I also have a separate section of saying, how did I solve the problem? And so that way I can always go back and to renew my notes. Okay, that's one thing that you can always do. Another thing you can do is the OneNote. OneNote is another way that you can take detailed notes as for solving problems. So I hope that this has been helpful for you today. And I hope that you can take this information and it will help you to make better decisions. First and foremost, is kind of go back and just do a quick review, is to first and foremost get a clear understanding of what the problem is. Get a clear understanding of what the problem is. Going to the person that actually reported the issue or the user that's experiencing the issue. Make sure you have a clear understanding of how you can reproduce the issue yourself. Go back to your local machine, try to reproduce the issue, look at the code, see what's going on. Take that big issue, break it up into smaller issues, solve those smaller issues, and bring it all back together. Reach out to people that may have worked on the application before, if they are available. Sometimes they're not always available. Reach out to them, see if you can get a clearer understanding. But last but not least, make sure that you always document what you find and how you solve the problem. Hey, this is the best time to be a software developer, software engineer, program. This is the best time. I know we are in a pandemic right now with COVID-19, but this by far, I can tell you, is the best career path to be in right now. And I'm going to do another video why I believe that to be the case. So please be on the lookout for that. But I hope this has been valuable for you. And I hope that it helps you as you begin to solve problems, whether you're working for a company, you're doing any client work, or you're working on your own side projects. I hope that this has been very beneficial and it will help you to become the developer that you want to be. Take care.